Shalom, Laha Alahayim, peace of the gods, Nawathan, Kal Halalimla, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Hakodash, giving all praises to Yahweh. In the name Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit, double honors unto the elder apostles, the elder bishops, and the elders of all of Great Millstone GMS who do well, who have learned this 100% truth from, who are the true leaders of all Israel, Yasha Allah, today, whether you can receive that or not. Peace, blessings, and salutation to the tabernacle of David being risen up in these last days. Starting with the governing body in the kingdom to come, 12,000 men, prophets of each of the 12 tribes of Israel, as well as the innumerable multitude outside of the office of a prophet, believing on the gospel and rehearsing the righteous acts of their best of their ability, men, women, and children scattered abroad. Specifically, also, though, here in Babylon the Great, the 1/3 of men, women, and children. This is your brother Tazapanya of the Great Millstone, Washington, D.C. camp out of One Ratazah. Lord willing, this quick hit digital epistles edifying to the elect. So this is Canadian Prepper on the Prepper News channel. All right, he has an alert. All right, what does it say? Nero, he's nuke ready. Tomahawks. So these tomahawks are able to be equipped with nuclear warheads that they're giving, I think, unto Ukraine. And gold, when I checked it this morning, it was like 4,300, but he says 4,200, which is an all-time high. Because just last week it was 4,000. So we're entering into unprecedented times. That's the point. And I quoted Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1 in the topic of this lesson. Okay. And we're going to get the understanding of that when I bring that out after he makes a statement. Okay. So without further ado, let's get into it.
And now they have no choice but to continue to push forward. No choice whatsoever. It's basically Russian decapitation or bust for Europe because they need those resources. And this is actually what I fear, going on a tangent here in the U.S., is that the right, I hate using these terms, but MAGA is setting a certain set of conditions that it's almost like if they ever relinquish control again, they're going to have to be hiding in the bunkers because the left is going to abuse the hell out of all of these new government powers that have been put into place. Even though I know that left versus right is meaningless at the top, and you've seen that with the technocrats, they'll align themselves with anybody. You know, they did it with Biden. Okay, Trump's in, we'll align with him now. You know, we'll unblock whoever you want us to. They have no loyalty or allegiance to your constitutional rights and civil liberties. They only have a loyalty to themselves and their clique. And that transcends any sort of political boundaries. So my concern is that if if it's true that there are, like, you know, hardliners in Republican hardliners, they are going to be very reluctant to ever seize control because, you know, if Trump does pursue lawfare, and in fairness, Trump had lawfare waged against him. So this is not a question of, you know, moralizing who's better and who's a good guy, who's a bad guy. This is just to say that this is going to escalate, and either they're going to do something crazy to prevent the Dems from ever getting in again, or when the Dems do get in, they're going to say, now we got these paramilitary in the streets, everybody's used to that. And we got these other draconian laws that you've put in place for us. Thank you very much. Hey, maybe it's time for another pandemic, right? And now that we've got you all acclimated to a quasi martial law state of lockdown, we're going to marry the lockdowns with the police in the streets, right?
And see, I can see that scenario happen. All right. And you know, this is why Yahweh Shah said, a house divided against itself shall not stand. Okay, so you have the house of Esau, Edomites, of the ideology of the right or conservative, or the ideology of the left, liberal. All right, Democrats versus Republicans. Okay, which is the ancient um revived spirit of the ancient Roman Empire, of the two-party system of the plebeians and the patricians, spoken of in Revelation chapter 13 and verse, let's get it real quick. Chapter 13 and verse, 11. And I beheld another beast, which is America, coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns. Horns are symbolic for power, okay, like a lamb, all right? And the lamb is representative of for the people, all right, a docile animal, all right? It says, and he spake as a dragon, okay? You go into the Greek word Draco, all right, or Dracon, which goes back to the ancient Grecian general, Edomite general, okay? Where you get the term draconian measures, okay, which would be what? Um, harsh punishments for low crimes, minuscule crimes. Okay, and this is what we coming into. Okay, but the point here being these two party systems that's the same thing before. Okay, trying to act like they for the people when they're just playing the left right paradigm. Okay, that goes back to that Masonic, all right, black and white, while they control everything, because both sides is controlled opposition. It just depends on what perspective you're standing on. You have on which side that you're standing on. Okay, so this is about this place we're watching it fall. All right, a house divided against itself shall not stand. So it's not going to stand anymore. Okay, Yahushua said that he have seen Satan fall from heaven as lightning. Roughly paraphrasing, heaven is a state of rulership. Satan is just a title. Okay, now there is a spiritual demon Satan, but it's still Satan is still a title and can be applied to certain things because Satan in the Greek is Satanos, all right, which means deceiver or false accuser. Okay, so they that are in the high power seat, the principalities and high places, all right, these what would you call it? Statesmen, right? They are going to fall. Esau is going to fall quickly. This is going to be quick and ultimately by the ICBMs, and it's going to take 1 hour, pursuant to the prophecy in the book of Revelation, for Babylon to fall. Because when Babylon falls, all right, all these other nations is going pretty much fall because they're all connected via the global economy. All right. And so they're all interdependent upon another. This is why the MOTB is going to be tempted amongst all people in every single country. Okay. And then notice how he said there's going, matter of fact, let's play it again. Let's hear this little part again. See.
Ever getting in again, or when the Dems do get in, they're going to say, now we got these paramilitary in the streets, everybody's used to that, and we got these other draconian laws that you've put in place for us. Thank you very much.
So there, see, so now he said draconian laws, which literally goes back to Revelation 13 and 11. All right. And so what he's saying is that if Nero's personal army, ICE, right, is in these major cities, you already have them stationed there, okay, occupying these places and these lands. All right. And then you could bring about another crisis, okay, to where you know how the people is going to react, Hegelian dialectic, and then you could lock the shit down with draconian measures, military force via martial law. Okay.
Much. Hey, maybe it's time for another pandemic, right? And now that we've got you all acclimated to a quasi martial law state of lockdown, we're going to marry the lockdowns with the police in the streets, right? Then match made in heaven, game over for freedom and liberty. Yep, it's going to happen. It's all going to happen. It's all going to happen. Nuclear war, everything. Hyperinflation, civil war, it's all going to happen at the same time.
You see that? So the prophet's been on the street corners telling you, now it's time to go to Daniel 12 and 1. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go to Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1, and it says, and at that time, so this is a future prophecy spoken about of a specific time, the time of Jacob's trouble. It says, shall Michael is the one of the archangels, okay, and is going to be second in command only to Yahushua when Yahushua returns, all right, as he's going to be pretty much the commander over the rest of the angels, okay, when the Lord comes back with the hosts of heaven, as it speaks about in the prophecy. Okay, it says, shall stand up, okay, which is symbolism, you know what I'm saying, to basically make ready to be on guard, to be in a defense. All right. And the scriptures say that the angels compasses around the saints. You see what I'm saying? Roughly paraphrasing in the book of Psalms. Okay, so you know, we all have, you know, personal guardian angels and things of that nature, and the elect as a remnant is going to be guarded, okay, by the angels, all right, when all hell breaks loose, when the enemy comes down like a flood, because a standard is going to be lifted up. Okay, it says the great prince, okay, which standeth for, see, stands for God, like I said before, for the children of thy people. And who's Daniel's people? Because that's the thy it's talking about. It's talking about Israelites. Daniel was of the tribe of Judah. It says, and there shall be a time of trouble, okay, Jacob's trouble, Jeremiah 30 and 7, such as never was since there was a nation. Okay, and when were all the nations? So it's basically giving you, you know, uh, ever unprecedented. Okay, because even before Adam, okay, you had nations of people. The creatures came up out of the waters. Whether you can receive the truth in Genesis chapter 1 or not, okay, and the Most High took a specific man out named Adam, okay, and gave him the oral law to rule over all the people, and gave him a woman of the same lineage, aka out of his rib, okay, to continue, right, the sons of God lineage, okay, the lineage that were to be rulers, all right, over Idan, Eden, okay, the earth, all right. It says, even to that same time, and at that time thy people shall be delivered, and that people is going to be the elect. So Daniel obviously is of the elect, according to this, okay, because the 2/3 here in Babylon the Great is not going to be delivered. All right, so there's a so when it talks about in Hosea 1, you know, they shall be my people and they shall say that I'm their power. Okay, it's really only referring to the elect, because only the elect is going to be referring to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai as their power, as their Alahayim. Okay, it says, every one that shall be found written in the book, right, written in the Bible, another symbolism for those that are of the elect that was chosen to be delivered. Okay, so just like how he said, it's going to be all intertwined at once. All right, civil war, hyperinflation, that's Revelation 6 and 6, right, when it goes into a measure of wheat and 3 measures of barley for a penny, a denarian, a day's wage for a Roman soldier back then, which was a pretty significant amount. Okay, that's a lot of money. All right, a whole day's wage, all right, for a small measure of food, all right, or you know, grain. Okay, hyperinflation to the max. Okay, talks about that also in Second Edges, talking about victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall find themselves to be in good case, and then shall, and I'm roughly paraphrasing here, evils, um, sword, famine, pestilence, and great confusion. Why is people gonna be confused? Because the victuals was just cheap, and then all of a sudden it hyperinflated. Okay, which is what we're coming into. What else did he say? World War III, which is prophesied in the scriptures, the third woe. All right, the second woe is past, right, and the third woe cometh quickly. Okay, woe means destruction, mourning. All right, and great mourning and destruction happens when a mass unaliving event happens, which happens during multiple countries going at each other, meeting in certain places. So World War III is going to start. The least of the flock shall draw them out. These Amalekites is going to draw them out to the valley of Jehoshaphat, the Levant region. Okay, the Arabian Desert, Persian Gulf, the area between the Nile River and the River of Egypt and the Great River Euphrates. All right, and there's going to be a sacrifice of all these armies that came down there to fight, and then it's going to end with multiple thermonuclear warheads upon intercontinental ballistic missile shots from the ends of the earth, right?
even the climate stuff. It's gonna, things are gonna get really hot right around the time that, and maybe nuclear war kind of swoops in and saves the day.
And that's exact. And it's funny. That's why I did the video, because that's what is going to happen. It's going to be so much hell on Earth. Like he said, nuclear war is going to save the day, quote unquote. Not obviously not him. You see what I'm saying? Because I do believe he's a Jake, but that understanding of it's going to stop everything and be the equalizer, the change. All right, to go into 2nd Esdras 6 and 9, which is Esau's the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning that follow it. Okay. So all of this stuff is gonna be going on: civil war, hyperinflation, pandemics, martial law, anarchy, lawlessness, and ultimately, first and foremost, okay, the mark of the beast, the RFID chip, all right, the microchip that is going to be planted subdermally under your skin, your epidermis, okay, or in your forehead, all right, your metapon or your dextrose. Okay, look those words up in the Greek, Revelation 13 and 16 on down. All right. So, and what's going to stop all of that is going to be Yahushua coming back, because that's synonymous with the missiles coming. Okay. So when the missiles start flying in the air, that can cause massive amount of destruction. You're also going to see the fathership in the air with all the angels saturating the sky. All right. And the Spirit of the Lord is also going to be directing these missiles to turn America into the lake of fire, because America is Babylon the Great, and Babylon the Great, all right, was prophesied to be fully destroyed by fire. Okay. So, yeah.
Drops the temperature a few degrees. Who knows? The U.S. Army has.
And that's pretty much it. So, Lord willing, I was edifying to the elect. On to the next one. Shalom.